Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Undisciplined Mind podcast for Wednesday, May 18th, 2016. As of this recording, Sierra is still missing. So I was out at this camp over the weekend, and at one point on Saturday, and there was a lake there, but it was kind of cool, so nobody was doing any swimming, whatever. It was kind of rainy. We weren't even going to take boats out or anything. But I went down, a couple guys that down there fishing, and I went down to just kind of look at the water for a bit. And I saw something that was interesting to watch, and it was something I never thought to see in wildlife. And that is adrenaline junkies. So I've always thought of an adrenaline junkie as somebody who is, that it is a trait that is solely found in humans and not in wildlife. So in case you're not familiar with the phrase, adrenaline junkies are people that are going to do things like they're going to do base jumping off of buildings. They're going to do bungee jumping. They're going to drive fast. Probably my one limited foray into being an adrenaline junkie is my love for roller coasters. I love the speed of roller coasters, and it gives you that adrenaline rush. But there's lots of things I got zero interest in doing from a adrenaline junkie thing. I do not want to go skydiving because I have a thing about heights. I don't want to go skydiving. I don't. If I'm jumping out of a plane, there better be flames and smoke coming out of an engine. That's all I'm saying about that. I have no interest in bungee jumping, although the wife does. And I keep telling her, "You go ahead, I'll watch." So, but I was sitting there at the lake, and I was watching these birds, and they were small birds. They were like sparrows, or something that size. They were not large by any stretch of the imagination. And they're flying around. At first I noticed a couple of them because they would fly, they would do some gliding. And there were a number of them all over the lake. I mean, it wasn't, Hitchcock the birds kind of thing going on at all, but there were a number of them in various places. And there were quite a few that were kind of going right around in front of where I was, because there was a kind of the camp had a section that they had roped off, I think, to swim in or maybe to stay out of, I don't know. And they had a permanent raft out a ways there. So there was kind of a section there that was going out so far that was kind of staked out by the camp there. And the birds were kind of going in and out of that, and they were going out a little further. And what I began to notice about these birds is there were quite a few of them that were flying inches above the water. Now, these, like I said, these were small birds. From what I could see, I didn't get to see them up close. From what I could see, there probably were about 6-inch wingspan from tip to tip, maybe 8. Nothing any more than that. 8's probably too long, actually. 6, probably 6, 7. And so these things are like 4 inches above the water, and they're flying around, they're diving, and they're not diving, but they'll get up high, and then they'll come down and dive, and then barely above the inch or two of the water, they will pull up, and they're flying along the water, and they'll bank. And I would have sworn at one point I saw a wingtip hit the water when they were doing these steep banks as they're going over the water. And what really kind of gave me the epiphany is I'm thinking, these are not aquatic birds. They're not meant to be in the water. They don't have webbed feet. And even short of like a big fish or something jumping up and grabbing them out of the air, I thought, if one of these, if like they missed time to dive, or they were a little too low when they banked or whatever, and if they landed in the water, I bet they're dead, because they couldn't, they don't really have the physiology to be able to swim along, and they probably couldn't get the airspeed to get back up into the air. More than likely. And so that kind of got me, and then I'm watching what they're doing, and I thought, these birds are adrenaline junkies. And you could just sense the joy that they were getting, because it was like they were having fun. There were a number of birds out there, but they weren't flocked together. You might have 2 or 3 that are kind of flying around in the same area, but not always together. For a while there, it looked like a couple of them that I was watching seemed to be racing. Once again, 4 inches above the water, and they just seem to be having a blast. They just seem to be having a lot of fun. So yeah, I guess humans don't have a monopoly on going for that adrenaline surge there, because I'd be willing to bet that those birds were feeling it. They were having a good time, and they were obviously going for the speed and going for the feeling of kind of skirting the edge a little bit. In this case, the edge of the water, and they were just having fun. And it was kind of fun to watch. I probably sat there for 15 minutes or so watching the birds fly about. It was a cool thing. I might have taken a video, but it was just, they were moving so fast and they're relatively small for the distance that they're at. I probably couldn't have been able to either zoom in or get a good enough picture to really make it worthwhile. So I didn't even bother. Rather than waste my time sitting there trying to capture something awesome like that, I figured I'd just watch it, and then I could talk about it here. So, feel free, comment, show at some point in the future, if you've ever seen an animal doing something that might be adrenaline junkie fodder, then by all means, leave me a comment. But I guess I'll let that be that for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.